Welcome back to the Talking Apron. I'm Ann Bernardin, a type 1 diabetic who got diagnosed late in life. And at the time of the diagnosis, I am so thankful that I was a nutrition and wellness teacher. And I'm here to share and learn with you how to live well as a diabetic. Today, we're diving into a topic that might surprise some of you: coffee drinks. Now, I know we all love our morning coffee, or maybe you don't know that I love my morning coffee. I'm a have it black kind of gal, or with almond milk, or when I'm out, I may have a latte or a cappuccino. I really like to try different configurations. But no matter what I have, when I'm out at a coffee shop, I always ask questions. And the questions are: is the almond milk sugar-free? I generally ask that question, and I ask to take a look at the box. Now, in a little bit, we'll be discussing why I don't ask for milk, but sometimes the baristas don't know. So I thought I'd share with you today how to be a little bit more careful when ordering your coffee drinks and what to look for. So whether it's a simple black cup of coffee or something fancier like a latte, you need to know that some of these coffee drinks can have hidden carbohydrates that'll definitely influence your blood sugar levels. And let's break down how sugar, syrups, and even thickeners sneak into our favorite coffee drink, and how you can make better choices without giving up your daily caffeine fix. So first up, go ahead and go grab your cuppa, then come on back, enjoy, and listen in to this short podcast. This first segment is, let's just start with the basics. Black coffee on its own is virtually carb-free, right? You're not adding any sugars. It's just black coffee. It's really a great option if you're keeping an eye on your blood sugar levels. But do be aware that the caffeine in coffee and other drinks can raise your blood sugar. The caffeine is a stimulant, like a stress, that tells your adrenal glands that you are waiting to get into action, to fight or flight. And that's why we want it, because we want that perk. I'm awake, I'm ready to take action. But the other piece of this is it tells the liver, hey, liver, we might need some glucose ready. We might need an energy source ready to go, because that saber-toothed tiger is ready to chase us. And that's to make sure that glucose is ready and available. Now, things change quickly when we start adding other ingredients like milk, creamers, syrups, whipped cream to our coffees. And we've got to pay attention to that. So for instance, myself, I spoke about the black coffee. In the morning, it does cause a rise for me, about 30 to 40 points. Now, yes, I'm a type 1 diabetic, and yes, I'm on a continuous glucose monitor, so I can watch it go up and down. But I'm mindful of that to see, what else am I eating with my breakfast? Now, let's get back to those coffee drinks. A medium latte or flavored coffee can have anywhere from 15 to 50 grams of carbohydrates. And that's not counting any add-ons you might go for. You've got to remember that in a drink with 50 grams of carbohydrates, that's 12, count them, 12 teaspoons of sugar. Each teaspoon has 4.5 grams. So just to kind of be able to equate it, that would be the same carbohydrates that are in a bagel. And it's even more than a candy bar. So basically, you may be drinking candy for breakfast. So black coffee equals no carbs, or a little bit of a rise because of that stimulant effect. But here the trouble starts when we add flavored syrups, sugars, whipped cream, and milk-based products to our coffee. Let's discuss milk. Milk alone can add 12 to 15 grams of carbs per cup. Why? Is there sugar in milk? Absolutely. If you read the milk label, you see lactose. Lactose is the milk carbohydrate. The OSE means a sugar, like in glucose, like in fructose, as in fruit. Galactose. So anytime you're reading a label for ingredients and you see OSE at the tail end of what you may not understand, know that that's a sugar. So pay attention. In milk, there is lactose. And that's why you see some milks that say lactose free. Okay. But pay attention. Now, when we skip the fats in milk and we go to skim milk, it has more carbohydrates than whole milk. What, you say? How is that? Because it's basically, if you fill a jar with marbles of 3 different colors and you take out one color marble, you have to fill it with the others. And what I mean is when you take out that fat, there is more protein and more carbohydrate, milk sugar in that cup of milk. So therefore, it is higher carbohydrates than whole milk. So it is especially important to be aware, and it's one of the reasons I went with almond milk in my coffee, because especially on the mornings, if I want to have toast or I want to have pancakes or something else, it lessens my carbohydrate load for my breakfast and how much insulin I need to give myself. So that's how I substitute carbohydrates in my drinks, is by going with an alternative like almond milk. And it is unsweetened almond milk. And again, I ask that question because almond milk can be sweetened. Now, the next segment, we want to watch out are flavored coffees. They often come pre-sweetened or with syrup and hidden sugars, and we don't know that. So the real culprits, I'm saying those sneaky ingredients you may not even think twice. So coffee chains, I have one in mind. I was living in the East Coast. It's a big brand, and even some grocery store brands often use sweeteners, syrups, and thickeners so they can significantly boost the carb count in your coffee. And why do they want to do that? Because it's yummy. Because it tastes sweet and our mouth likes it. And then we want to order it and buy it again and again. So it's easy to overlook these different drinks that you're buying when you're busy or you're just trying to get the caffeine hit before you're going into a meeting. But let's break down a few key ones to watch out for. So the flavored coffees that I'm talking about, how is it hit? Well, vanilla, caramel, hazelnut. All right. If you get anything that says hazelnut swirl, the hazelnut isn't the flavor of the coffee. It's the flavor of the syrup. If it's caramel, is it caramel flavored coffee? Or is it coffee flavored with caramel? Very distinct question. I'm going to go over that again. When you're asking and they have caramel coffee on the menu, ask them, is it coffee that's flavored with a caramel syrup? Or has the coffee been infused with the coffee flavor and therefore it has no carbs? Now, when you have a drink that's like a caramel coffee, they may put in 4 to 5 pumps of that syrup. And those pumps each have 5 to 7 grams about of carbohydrates. So if you still want a little bit of a sweet treat, just ask, how many pumps of caramel is in that caramel coffee? And they say, oh, it has 4 pumps. All right, will you give me 2 instead? And then that way, it's your choice how much sugar you're putting into the body. And you have control over it, and you know your body. And I'm not saying, oh, you must go without. No, no, no. I'm just saying, pay attention. You make the choices. The next thing you can do is actually go to the sugar-free versions for that. And most coffee shops have 1 or 2 varieties. I know it's not a lot, but they do have some varieties. So I have a friend who loved his morning coffee, and he was proud of himself every single time he ordered his coffee, no sugar, please. But he'd get home and I could smell the sugar from a mile away because he ordered a coffee drink. And I would taste it and say, this has a lot of sugar. And he'd say, how? It's because of how they make their specialty drinks. So there's my insulin pump. So you want to make sure that you ask those questions. And when it's a specialty drink, if you're choosing yes, just ask how many carbohydrates are in here. And then you can choose what your breakfast will be in addition to that. Maybe you're having bacon and eggs, and that would be a fine mix of foods. But if you're having pancakes, waffles with maple syrup, and you're going to have that coffee drink, woohoo! That is a lot of carbohydrates for a diabetic. Next thing we're looking at are the creamers. Now I'm going to start with whipped cream. Whipped cream, yes, it is, depending upon the type, it may have a thickener in it that's a carbohydrate. There are all sorts of products that manufacturers use, especially those that are, I'll say, a fast food coffee place. Because they want to lower their cost, they will doctor and come up with a formula that people love that isn't just cream. So that's a question you can ask. Is the whipped cream whole cream? And if they say yes, great, you're getting a better product. But just note, whipped cream does have added sugar. Usually it's powdered sugar. Not a lot, but it does add to the sugar load. So when you buy or when you go, for instance, even when you're going to, like sometimes doctor's office lobbies, they'll be nice enough to have coffee. And if they have the flavored creamer packs, those have carbohydrates. Or they have the bottle of creamer, those have carbohydrates in it. Always take a look and see how much you're having. Because even a tablespoon of your favorite vanilla or hazelnut creamer can add another 5 to 6 grams of carbohydrates. And if you're not measuring, it's really easy to pour that yummy stuff, especially when you're on the go. Now, as I was talking about thickeners earlier, they like to use corn syrup solids or carrageenan to give that extra smooth texture. And these can add carbs without you even tasting the sweetness. Fraps or blended coffee drinks often use these thickeners, and that is where those hidden carb counts start increasing. Now, I talked a little bit about, boy, I'm having trouble talking this morning. I talked a little bit about the almond milk earlier, and there are other options out there. There are folks that are loving the oat milk or rice milk. Guess what? They're higher carbohydrate content. So again, just read, because oat milk has 16 grams of carbs per cup, and almond milk just has 1 that's unsweetened or less than 1. So the almond milk and the coconut milk tend to be better choices when looking at lowering your carbohydrate options. Now, now that we know where these hidden carbs come from, let's talk about how to keep your coffee habit by staying mindful of those hidden carbohydrates. One, we talked about asking for the unsweetened version. When you're ordering at a coffee shop, ask for those in your favorite drinks. And as I said, most places will offer the sugar-free varieties, which will cut down the carb count dramatically. The next is using stevia or monk fruit as a sweetener at home, and even some coffee shops do have the packets of stevia. Sometimes they have added monk fruit. Sometimes it's monk fruit and xylitol. Sometimes it's monk fruit and erythritol, which they're an artificial, but they are made from a plant sweetener. So consider those if that's appropriate for what your goals are. And they'll add that little bit of sweetness that you crave without the spiking of your blood sugar. Then, as I mentioned earlier, we have almond milk, coconut milk, great options. Just make sure, again, it's the unsweetened variety. Don't be afraid to customize. Again, ask for fewer pumps of the syrup. How many pumps of sweetener does that have? Oh, it has 5. Can I just have 2, please? Or again, swap out your milk for a lower carb alternative. Many of the baristas are very happy to help. And you can even ask them, for those carb counts. And if you're not one that has to watch your fats, most coffee shops have a full cream or a heavy cream option. When I know that coffee shop has sweetened almond milk and I can't use that for my latte, I'll switch and I'll go, can I have whole cream then? Now, generally I do watch my fats, but a once in a while occasion when I can't get what I really want, then I'll watch my carbs by going and asking for the full cream option. Now, of course, the easiest way to control what's in your coffee is by making it at home. And you can create a lot of delicious lattes, iced coffees, using unsweetened the almond milk, the sugar-free syrups, and your favorite coffee blends. Plus, you're going to save money. So in closing, as you've seen today, coffee drinks can be a sneaky source of those extra carbohydrates, but with a little bit of planning, with smart choices, you can still enjoy your favorite coffee out without worrying about your blood sugar levels. Remember, it's all about being aware of what goes into your cup and making those small changes that add up over time. Now, on a side note, if you're someone that needs to make a restart as in you've got to work a little bit differently to help control your blood sugar, I have a free guide, 3 daily tips to diabetes success. I'm going to put it in the link to the description of this podcast. And it'll subscribe you to my weekly newsletter where I inform you about the latest podcast and some other interesting information. But this free guide may give you a little boost, a little assist. So find that into the introduction to his podcast, or there's a button link on my website. Remember, it's all about being aware of what goes into your mouth, what goes into your cup, and what is on your plate, and making small changes add up over time. Thanks for joining me today on the Talking Apron podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast for more tips and tricks on having your best life with diabetes. And if you found this episode helpful, share it with a friend, post it on your Facebook page, and leave a review. And until next time, making those wise decisions that lead to measurable results.